Gaylis Duncan is back. That's right, folks. She's back to cause more trouble. Second thing is Claire catches Jamie and Lord John Grey hugging in a corner, and she is not happy about this at all. Wow, this is a busy little town. There's cars going up and down here all the time. And the third thing to remember is that Jamie is still a wanted man. So Jamie and Claire have to assume the characters of a French couple. So can any of you tell me where I'm standing today? Take a guess. I'll give you 10 seconds. This in fact is the little village of Falkland. Now you'll remember this from the opening scene in season 1, episode 1, where Claire comes to the guest house in Inverness. Well, it was shot here in this little village in Falkland, which is in Fife. And this of course is the famous fountain just opposite the guest house. Now one thing that struck me about this fountain, at one point somebody's watching Claire from this fountain, watching her change in her bedroom. Now can anybody tell me who this person actually was? Now, is this Jamie that has come from the future? I don't know. It's very confusing. And it's never been touched on again since the opening scene. Now, Falkland village is actually over 300 years old. So of course it's the weaving trade that made Falkland important. The weavers in this little village used to supply the palace.
What would you call a policeman up a tree?
Special branch.
That's who told you that?
As you can see, we've got some colourful people living in this village. Now this palace was built by King James II and was actually visited an awful lot by Mary Queen of Scots. Now there's a movie coming out about her next year, and it'll be interesting to see if this palace features in the movie. Now when the Artemis arrives in Jamaica, the porpoise is already in port. Claire explains to Jamie that there is an important person on this ship, and she talks about Lord John Grey. Jamie then has to explain to Claire who Lord John Grey is and what his connection is to Jamie. So Jamie explains to her that they were friends and that Lord John Grey was the governor at Artsmuir prison. So the whole Fraser clan settled down at a plantation, and they learned that Reverend Campbell has arrived. There's also a lot of gossip about Mrs. Abernethy and the weird circumstances that her husband died in. So of course, Mrs. Abernethy turns out to be none other than Gaylis Duncan. Claire and Gaylis meet up and they talk about the past and casually talk about time travel and how Gaylis survived the witch hunt that was led against her. Now, as irony would have it, Gaylis sees a picture of Brianna, and she very quickly puts two and two together. She realizes that Claire has made several jumps through the stones, and Gaylis also has the gemstones from Seal's cave, so she knows she needs them to do more jumps. Now of course Gaylis Duncan knows that the next king of Scotland comes from the Lovett line. She knows that Brianna is the only link to the next king of Scotland. So now I'm wondering, is Gaylis going to try and do another time jump and deal with Brianna? Is she going to try and kill her? That's going to be very interesting. Now, of course, there's already one murder in this particular episode. Will there be two? So now there's also going to be a small ball to welcome the governor that has arrived. And of course, because Jamie is a wanted man still, they decide to go as a French couple so that nobody recognizes Jamie. And of course it's at this ball that Jamie meets up with Lord John Grey, and it's in this particular scene that the two of them hug each other. And of course, now that Claire knows who Lord John Grey is, she is not happy. Now of course Claire can see the way that John's still looking at Jamie, and she knows that he's still in love with Jamie, and she can't get her head around this at all, considering some of the past and some of the things that Jamie's had to go through. Now of course eventually John and Claire have a discussion about what Claire's feeling, and they clear things up and they all become good friends. Now I'm just wandering around the village here to see what there is to see, but unfortunately many of the places are shut now until March, when the season starts again. Now of course it's in this episode that Jamie talks to Claire all about young William and how that all came about. He said he didn't really want to talk to her about it previously because he didn't want to upset her. Of course Claire and Jamie make up again and all in love again, and they decide to do their marriage vows again. So all is happy in the land of Outlander.